Who is Judy? I want to preface this by saying that I think that's a bad question. It forces us to associate her with an on screen character like the experiment or the pale horse. The better question to ask is, what does Judy represent? David Lynch loves playing with physical representations of abstract ideas, and I believe Judy's the same. So, what do I think Judy represents? Just like Bob being a manifestation of the evil that men do, Judy is a manifestation of one of society's darkest secrets.
Huh?
Besides the fact that it's a mystery, mentions of Judy make it sound like she was meant to be a secret, like the fact that Philip Jeffries doesn't want to talk about Judy, or how a monkey has to quietly whisper her name, or how Garland Briggs, Gordon Cole, and Cooper have to come up with an elaborate plan just to track her down, and the people that are onto her disappear. Judy herself embodies the qualities of a secret. She's something that can never be spoken out loud. So, what do I think is going on with Judy that we can talk about her? I think it's something we're all aware of. Judy is the suffering of women. I think she really is that simple. Not saying the issue isn't complicated, but maybe that's all Judy is. It's such an ancient concept that a monkey knows about it. In this video, we're not just gonna talk about Judy. We'll also look at the roles of certain characters, David Lynch's life experiences, speculations of some of the show's mysteries, and how Laura's story transcends Twin Peaks, all in relation to Judy. But first of all, I'm not saying no one talks about it, because of course we do. We always do. Domestic abuse, sexual harassment, getting victim blamed, and rapings, even in one's own family. We've heard the stories. These happen all around us, but a lot of it happens in silence. Not everything makes it to the news. Violence against women by the hands of men is a common theme in David Lynch's works. Dorothy Valance in Blue Velvet, Lula in Wild at Heart, Renee Madison in Lost Highway, Lost Girl, and Nikki Grace in Inland Empire. David Lynch is used to depicting these topics. In The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, David Lynch wanted to say hello to his friend in America named Judy. I think it's Lynch's way of bringing attention to the topic of abuse towards women in America by saying it on live television but in his typical cryptic fashion. The name Judy is likely based on Judy Garland, the actress who plays Dorothy Gale in The Wizard of Oz. It lines up pretty well. In The Wizard of Oz, she plays this upbeat girl who ends up in a colorful dream world, but in reality, she was exploited and abused. It sounds a lot like that one David Lynch film. If you know, you know. It's no secret how much David Lynch loves The Wizard of Oz. Judy Garland was a woman suffering in silence all her life. And besides the abuse, David Lynch also seems to want to depict people's willful ignorance towards it. Now, I disagree with many things Twin Perfect claims in his Twin Peaks Explained video, but I admit that he makes a lot of good points. Like how the pale horse is a symbol for looking the other way. He bases this on the line said by the woodsman.
The horse is the white of the eyes and dark within.
I've noticed other supporting evidence as well, like how visually appearances of a white horse are frequently shown on the far side of the screen. So when we go look at it, our eyes move to the side. We can see Cooper do this too at Judy's. Pale horse is a symbol for choosing not to acknowledge what's in front of our very eyes. But I want to make an important distinction. I don't like calling it indifference, despite being technically right. Willful ignorance fits the bill more. It's willfully choosing not to bother instead of simply not caring. It's something that David Lynch wants to point out, and indeed he does. There's one more important woman in Lynch's works that I didn't mention, Laura Palmer, arguably the center of Twin Peaks. It's a known fact that David Lynch and Mark Frost never planned who Laura's killer was from the start. Twin Peaks was always planned from the start to be about her, about how the death of one girl can affect an entire town, exploring her life, her secrets, the pain she lived with, and how it's still happening and happening. Fire Walk With Me especially depicts this. We're visually shown how her father has been raping her for years, with a mother that's aware but doesn't bother stopping it, subjecting herself to prostitution, her being a frequent user of alcohol and drugs, and how it's not just her. This film does not shy away from showing us such a raw depiction of the horrors she lived with. At times, it's just so unbearable to watch, but it was never meant to be comfortable. I'll be sharing some of my speculations as well. Do note that these will be the weakest parts of my analysis due to lack of evidence. The first has to do with Nido. For the entire run of The Return, Mr. C was presumably looking for coordinates to Judy. Philip Jeffries gave it to him, but it led to a trap, and Tulpa Diane's coordinates led to Jack Rabbit's palace. What we find there is Nido, a naked, eyeless woman who can barely speak. I think she's a direct reference to a real-life experience David Lynch had. When he was a kid, he encountered a battered naked woman walking on the street. It left a mark on the young David and possibly his first encounter with the darkness in the world. Questions probably popped up in his mind, wondering what that poor girl went through. But in the end, he can never know. Nido could be his subject for instilling that feeling he had. Let's look at her traits. First, she's eyeless. The spirit of the pale horse is forced upon her. Next, she can't speak. She's forced to keep everything a secret. And she's found naked, possibly sexually abused. I think her purpose is to show the horrible effects of Judy. It's not meant to be seen, that's why some people want her dead. Next is Carrie Page. When Philip Jeffries told Cooper this is where he'll find Judy, he was taken to the night Laura died. Cooper's interference led to the creation of the Odessa world. This world might be Laura's fantasy to escape her suffering in Twin Peaks. We can see her wearing the symbol of willful ignorance. She's pretending her life didn't happen. It still came to be due to Cooper's interference, but it's still an escape from her suffering nonetheless. Sometimes, when we're daydreaming, we forget how much time has passed. Cooper/Richard asking what year is this made her lucid. The dream starts to fall apart as she remembers all her pain. She awakes from her fantasy, realizing that she has to confront a horrific reality. She can never escape Judy. We also see a similar effect in the previous episode of Awakening from a Dream, but I'm not quite sure if it's the same thing. Garland Briggs, Dale Cooper, and Gordon Cole devise a plan to track Judy, and the three of them serve a unique role. We witness the investigations of Laura and other women's murders through the eyes of Dale Cooper, the main hero. Garland Briggs and Gordon Cole are both investigators of the supernatural. Major Briggs is familiar with Project Blue Book and extraterrestrial entities, representing Mark Frost. Gordon Cole is the dreamer, involved with Blue Rose cases, representing David Lynch. The three of them plan to expose Judy, or the suffering of women, by creating the Twin Peaks story. Gordon Cole talks about how Judy is an extreme negative force. In the final dossier written by Mark Frost, Judy was a female form of a demon that feasted on human suffering. It is said that a marriage between her and the male form Baal would produce an even more malevolent being. Judy eventually became Judy. Assuming Baal became Bob, possessing Leland, Sarah could be possessed by Judy. She witnessed Laura's pain but afraid of losing either of them, did nothing. Ironic that she ended up losing both, and all it did was feed this negative force inside her. Following Mark Frost's side, Judy and Bob would have produced an even more evil offspring. So why isn't Laura the epitome of evil? She almost was. In the secret diary of Laura Palmer, we get to see Laura sexually assaulting others as well, the abused slowly becoming the abuser. This might be what Judy was positive about. All of Laura's pain could have broken her into something worse. She was supposed to even be Bob's next host. But despite Bob's plans, Laura got murdered by wearing the ring, which served a couple of things. First, poor Laura's suffering finally gets to end. No more Garmonbosia. Second, Bob can't host in her body anymore. And most importantly, her death sets the stage for her investigation. And finally, Cooper's role. His role in the plan is to take us, the viewers, along the investigation of Laura's murder, where we learn of her secrets, which eventually lead to Judy, the suffering of women a lot of us never get to witness or talk about. Cooper's two birds with one stone plan could have been saving Laura to kill Judy. If Laura doesn't suffer, then Judy doesn't get to feed on her suffering. But considering everything I said is true, it's a horrible plan. By saving Laura, Twin Peaks doesn't happen. There will be no story of the little girl who lives down the lane. We, the viewers, would never witness Laura's suffering, which matters so much to so many people. Judy's secrets get to be kept hidden and she keeps on feeding on everyone else instead. That could also be one interpretation to the Odessa world. After Carrie Page snaps back to Laura Palmer, she realizes that Judy just grew even stronger now that the suffering stays secret, and her screams are of agony and despair. There are a lot more gaps that I found while rewatching some episodes for this video. I made a mistake of not writing all of it down, so I'll just show you what I remember. I don't have good answers for them, but maybe you do. Pause if you want to read. Laura Palmer's story resonates with the lives of so many women. I'd argue that she is the antithesis of Judy. Laura is a voice that exposes the pain that women have to go through in silence. Judy is the silence, the hole in the donut. The path to understanding Judy leads to our acknowledgement of the invisible horror that's happening around us. All I've said culminates here. What do we actually find at Judy's? Outside, we see the symbol of willful ignorance, positioned sort of like a guardian to the gates. And inside, we witness casual, out in the open sexual harassment, the force of Judy, and gruesome violence, the force of Bob. All of this is happening while the witnesses aren't bothering to stop it, the force of the pale horse. What we find at Judy's is a microcosm of the evils that haunt our world. It all sounds bleak, but despite everything, I consider David Lynch to be optimistic. Lynch is aware that we are all capable of evil, and evil will always follow us in life. But so does goodness. Evil will keep on growing as long as we keep turning a blind eye. If Twin Peaks can be condensed to a single message, it's that we should speak up and look out for each other. We live in one world. Why make each other suffer?
Let's test it for the record. Will the next victim be a man or a woman?
A woman.
All right. What color hair will she have?
Blonde.
Tell me some other things about her.
She's in high school. She is sexually active. She's using drugs. She's crying out for help.
Well, damn, Cooper, that really narrows it down. You're talking about half the high school girls in America.
Thanks for sticking around. It's my first time doing analysis in a video format, so I'd like to hear any criticisms you might have. All are welcome. Tell me also where you agree and disagree. Discussing Twin Peaks with others is always fun for me. Anyways, bye bye.